Renovating Retirement with Charlie Jewett. Oh no, I think I'm about to have another episode.
Now, if you've been listening to the show for a while, you may remember I had identified the fourth chipmunk, Alvin, Simon, Theodore, and Bill. The other three are very expensive, but Bill literally works for peanuts.
Where it began, I think it was Wuhan, China, but in the U.S. it's growing strong. Started in spring, and lasted into the summer. Who'd have believed it'll last so long? Masks, wearing masks, social distancing. Don't touch me, and I won't touch you. Sweet quarantine. Restaurants never look so good. I've been inside. Can't even walk around my hood. I'm stuck inside day and night. They both seem so lonely. Netflix can only go so far. And when I eat, it's cooking and takeout only. Can't even go out to the bar. Gloves, wearing gloves, hand sanitizer. Don't touch me, and I won't touch you. Sweet quarantine. Toilet paper never looks so good. I've even tried sleeping outside the stores, but no toilet paper, just Netflix and takeout and more time at home and oh sweet quarantine.
Let's get into it today. We're going to do episode 178, which is Safety is Stupid. Now, this is a part of a little mini-series I'm doing. Liquidity Sucks, Safety is Stupid, Rate of Return is Unnecessary, and Taxes are Awesome. Obviously, each title is designed to sound like the opposite of what you think I'm teaching, and that's to draw your attention to something on each one of these episodes. Now, the Safety is Stupid, what I'm saying is, of course, I don't believe that protecting your money is stupid. What I think is stupid is our version of what we believe safe is in the Bill of Goods, what is that? Well, the false belief that we've been kind of sold and asked. Well, I'm not really even sure how anybody even embraced it, but what we've accepted as safe is really rather silly. So let's get into it a little bit. The industry has a version of what safe is, and where do most people put their money? Well, to keep some of it safe and have it for an emergency, they keep it in cash or they keep it at the bank, right? All right. Are banks safe? They feel good, relatively safe. Looking back historically, what financial institutions go out of businesses, insurance companies, banks, real estate companies, things like that, you find out we certainly do lose banks to something called a run on the banks, but probably more likely, because it's happening to everybody, most people aren't going to have a bank go out of business. But what is happening to your money if it's sitting at the bank making 1% or less? It's a guaranteed loss of purchasing power. It's one of the oldest, things in the book we talk about in the financial services. You're not keeping up with inflation. So when you put money in the bank, you guarantee yourself that it's not safe from one of our biggest culprits, which is inflation or loss of purchasing power. Where else do people put enormous chunks of money that you've heard me talk about? I wrote a book on this called 2 Ways to be Debt-Free. You can get it on my website right now at no cost. Go to jewettwealth.com, Jewett wealth.com. I believe it's under products or possibly resources. Just download the PDF copy. 2 Ways to be Debt-Free is about why you should never, ever, ever, ever pay off a house. Well, where's that that place that people keep giant chunks of money? Sitting in home equity or sitting in value, whether you made the down payment and the house hasn't appreciated, or it was 100% financing and you did, 15-year mortgage, so you through your monthly payments, you've stored a bunch of your own money inside of the house, or maybe you had some appreciation. But home equity, as I prove in my book, is not a safe place for money. It feels good. So does the bank. The bank feels good. You can look at it and touch it and walk into it, and you're guaranteeing yourself that you're losing purchasing power. Home equity feels good because you can brag about it at parties or somehow feel a false sense of safety. Yet, I don't know, if your home is worth $400,000 and you only owe $200,000 and it were to depreciate, there's some foreclosures in the neighborhood or rates go back up. I don't know when that'll ever happen, but imagine rates go back up. They do that sometimes. Anything like that, your home value goes from $400,000 to $300,000. Let's say there's depreciation. Whose money do you lose if you have $200,000 of equity in there and you owe $200,000? Well, what you'll find is your equity is always on the top. And what do I mean by that? If that house loses any value, it's always the money you have sitting in there. And what's the rate of return the bank is paying you to have that $200,000 sit inside of there? Nothing. It is literally out of commission. You do not have those dollars. Is there a small cost to free it up, either through a mortgage or through a sale? Yes, there's a small cost. But if you structure your mortgage properly, you have a tax-deductible small cost, and it's very, very easy to make an arbitrage and actually put the home equity somewhere that's much, much safer. Then how about the big one? This one's really silly to me. That would be diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Well, why not just buy all Apple stock? Oh, Charlie, it's not diversified. If Apple went down, you'd lose all kinds of money. Okay, I get it. Okay. Why not just buy one mutual fund? Same reason, Charlie. Right? So you're supposed to spread it around to different industries. Let's not have it all in tech. It used to be don't have it all in steel, don't have it all in whatever, right? Okay, so you diversify, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I have a problem with how it's taught and how it's and the actual results, which I'll show you. You're not really truly diversified when you think you are anyway. So okay, you got your stuff spread around through stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Why do I talk about this so much? Because I think at this point I've probably reviewed 2,000 financial plans. I always say 1,000. It's probably 2,000. And pretty much everybody that thinks they have a financial plan has a portfolio. They have investments. They don't have an income plan. They don't have a mortgage plan. They don't have an estate plan. Ironically, they don't even have a retirement plan. They don't have an insurance plan, and they certainly don't have a tax plan. Their tax plan is show up to the tax preparer in April, February or April when it's too late, and ask them to put numbers in boxes when nothing can be done about it. That's not a tax plan. A tax plan is how do we work backwards? Well, as far as retirement, a tax plan would be how do we work backwards so that when you hit retirement, you get 100% of your money completely tax-free. How much of your accounts should we convert to Roth? How much should we leave inside of IRAs and 401ks? How much should we put in cash value life insurance policies to create tax-free distributions that can be used like income? How many years are we going to convert those things to Roth IRA? Should we take distributions now from IRAs and 401ks and just pay taxes on it while taxes are on sale because they're pretty low right now? Tax planning is kind of like tax planning for businesses. You don't wait until February or April to look at it. You look at it in November or December and make decisions. And better yet, you look at it before the coming year. So, diversification, having a portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds is not a retirement plan. It doesn't tell you when you can retire and on how much and how much you're supposed to be saving. It basically just says, let's cross our fingers and hope things work out for us. But worse than that, when somebody tells you you're diversified and then they only use one of the financial tools available to us, which is securities. Now, what are securities? Securities are things like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, REITs, ETFs. And so here's the saying that you're going to recognize. Don't put all of your eggs where? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Okay? So the industry, very, very smart, intelligent people and companies with $1 trillion under management and 12,000 offices literally tell people that that's not putting all your eggs in one basket because you bought stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. A better way to describe that, you've probably heard me talk about it, is you actually only have one basket. You've ruled out land, other real estate that's not REITs, annuities, cash value life insurance, gold and silver. You've ruled out, all the commodities. You basically have ruled out everything except for securities. So you're like, I want one basket, but don't fill it all with chicken eggs. That wouldn't be diversified, man. I know if I drop the basket, no matter what eggs are in there, they're all going to break. But just placate me, make me feel like you're doing something for the fee you're charging me. Can you put a duck egg and a quail egg and a platypus egg and whatever else lays an egg, right? Can you put 12 different eggs in one basket? And then you have to ask why. Why is that? Well, I like exaggerative, silly stories that teach concepts, don't you? Of course you do, or you wouldn't listen to my show. Come on, what am I thinking? It's been 4 years. Good Lord. Let's tell a silly story about how diversification, only using tools that are dangerous, only using tools that can go down, only using securities, using one basket called securities and trying to put different eggs in it. How silly is that? Well, let's have a little parable here, right? Let's say I had 4 children, and we all wanted to go from California to New York. I'm in San Diego, and New York is wonderful, so I got these 4 kids, and we want to go. They're going by car because it's traditional and seems to cost less than airfare. That's interesting. I'm about to take an 8-hour drive with my son because it costs less than airfare for 3 of us, to go 8 hours away. So I kind of get that, but from here to New York, all right, I'll take it. They're going by car because it's traditional. It seems like it costs less. Okay, whatever. They also get the benefit of being flexible and choosing to stop whenever they want, change directions, go somewhere else. So truly, guys, listening to this, if you're in a car, you have more choices than an airplane. You can decide what route to take, what cities to stop in. You've got the flexibility, and I certainly have found people like the supposed flexibility of their stocks, their portfolio, right? And they're like, I don't want to lock it up in an annuity and tie it up for 75 decades. I don't want to tie up my money. My least favorite phrase that anybody ever repeats, as if your money was tied up. If it's in an annuity or cash value life insurance, it's very silly. But they've got freedom, so they're going to drive. Well, they want to get there really, really fast, just like using the stock market. It's like, oh, come on, rate of return, grow. I can't use the safe stuff. These guys want to get to New York fast, so they've chosen sports cars. One sports car at first, and they're going to drive 150 miles an hour while on the highway. So they're just going to just haul. We want to get there quickly, right? We're driving because it's cheap, but we need to get there quickly. So they're all going to get in a sports car, drive 150 miles an hour. They also find it kind of fun. These are the kids, man. Kids these days. They also find it kind of fun to live on the edge. And so they've chosen to stop at America's most dangerous towns. Many of them are gang-ridden towns. So what do we have? 4 kids driving, because it's got more freedom than flying. They're all my kids. They're going to go 150 miles an hour on the highway. That scares me a little bit. They're all in one car. And they're going to go visit gang towns, adding unnecessary danger. Starting to feel a little concerned here. I'm concerned about them crashing the car at that high speed or being killed by gang members. Hello. So after a lot of argument, we go back and forth. I get these kids to agree to take 4 separate sports cars, 4 separate routes. You guys can go to gang-ridden cities, but not at the same time. And don't all be in the same car, because what if it crashes? So now I've diversified the cars and the routes so that the chance of all 4 of my kids dying is lower. Think how safe I'm being. It's amazing. Forget driving 150 miles an hour or going to gang towns. We got to diversify this risk and spread it around. Forget getting rid of it. Let's just lower the chance that all my kids die. After all 4 children take off in their sports cars, I see an ad. And it's for an airline running no-cost flights. Hold on, Charlie, that sounds too good to be true. I know, because it isn't true in the airline industry. You know what's funny? If there were no-cost flights, really, if there was an airline that had no-cost flights, how long do you think that would be a secret? And if somebody told you, hey, Charlie Jewett Airlines is having a no-cost airfare right now because he's celebrating his 4th year or whatever I'm celebrating, you can get no-cost flights to from California to New York. And you go, oh my gosh, I don't believe that. Sounds too good to be true. Would you just walk away and not check? How would you know if something's true? Call the airline? Hello? Hi. I heard you don't charge for flights. Is it true? And they go, yep, right now we don't charge for flights. Would you like one? No argument. But for some reason, 16 years into screaming from the rooftops that there are no fees. There are no fees in some of the alternatives to the stock market, like a growth annuity. Or if you pay a very small fee inside of a cash value life insurance policy, is it really a fee or is it discounted taxes? If the thing grows completely tax-free and you can take distributions during retirement, it's not income, Charlie. It's distributions to pay your bills. Get your words right. I'm sorry. Don't choke on your fettuccine, Mr. Compliance Guy. Doing my best, man. I talk for a living. Sometimes I might make a mistake. You know how frustrating it is for me to tell people you can be in 100% zero, you can be in a 0% tax bracket. You can pay no taxes during retirement. As a matter of fact, the IRS tells us how to do it. We just got to follow the rules. Oh, it sounds too good to be true. I couldn't possibly spend another minute learning about something different than I thought before. Why? If you don't believe it, why don't we just check with the IRS? If you don't believe annuities have no fees, why don't we just call the insurance company? Banks don't have fees. They don't charge you a fee for a CD. They're begging for the money. Why would they? The only time there's fees is with these goofy joker brokers. They want to gamble for you while they play golf because it's traditional to have fees. Whatever. So, all these sports cars take off. I see an ad for no-cost flights from California to New York. I arrive in New York days before my kids. At no cost. Didn't cost me anything. It's kind of an enjoyable trip, right? Maybe I had some peanuts. Not allowed to do that anymore because people are allergic. So I had pretzels because that's all they... Somehow that's the replacement for peanut. I had a ginger ale. Yummy. I sit there, wait for the kids. And when they arrive, I am waiting, and I haven't spent $1. Pretty stupid story, isn't it? Well, so is using a diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, or limiting yourself to securities only, or using a bunch of different eggs inside of one basket. Annuities have no fees if structured properly. Land has low fees and much, much higher returns than the stock market. Hey, have you ever thought of this? If your broker did a good job and took your $500,000 up to $2 million, grew it, but they charge a relational fee. They charge a fee that's related to the size of it, 1% or whatever. Don't you get punished if they do a good job? Or don't they get rewarded out of your money? Might be a better way to say it. Doesn't the fee get bigger as your account gets bigger? You know what's interesting about land, especially where we buy it in California? By the way, it doesn't matter where you live. If you're going to do land banking, you want it to be in a place that's exploding. It doesn't have to be in your town. It needs to be in a place that, Walmart and McDonald's and everybody's scrambling to get to, and you've got, decades of growth. The land we buy in California, the fee is set when you purchase it. And even if the land, 10 times in value, it wouldn't change that property tax you're paying. Your fees aren't relative. You don't get punished if it works out. So, pretty stupid story. But is it really? Paying fees, paying fees to diversify yourself amongst only the dangerous investments that can lose money, in my opinion, is just as stupid as driving 150 miles an hour across country and stopping and visiting gang towns if there were free flights available. And then here's what'll happen. Because remember the episode Liquidity Sucks, where I was arguing that somehow people believe they need 100% liquidity, and including any tool in your plan that has surrender penalties, you're going to die or something. Like somehow you've made a giant mistake when there's no human on the planet I've ever met that I said, would you ever spend all the money in your life on one emergency? Like if you had $1 million to live on for the rest of your life, would you ever spend $1 million on an emergency and leave yourself destitute? They all say no. So that's interesting. Nobody wants 100% liquidity, but they'll fight any investment that challenges the 100% liquidity. That's kind of weird. But what do we learn from Liquidity Stupid? That people see flexibility and the ability to sort of change their mind as more important than having a great life in retirement. Can you stop an airplane that's going from California to New York in Chicago? Can you just say, you know what, can we pull over here real quick? No? Particularly if there's other people on it. I mean, if you chartered a private jet, that's fine, but it's not going to be a no-cost flight, like my analogy to the annuities and things like that. So there's more flexibility the dangerous way, driving the car across country through gang-ridden towns or having a diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. But the no-cost flight, the one that's like, it doesn't have any fees and we'll just get you there. No, you don't get the flexibility. You just get exactly where you want to go. Boom, you're there. That's the analogy. See, investing and planning are not the same. There's a picture I have on my Instagram on charliespictures.com, and it's from my gym, and it has this squiggly line, and it calls it working out. And then it has a straight line from point A to point B, and it says training or personal training. And I use that picture a lot with potential clients or with agents that I'm training, other financial advisors, and say there's a difference between investing and having a retirement plan that says I know exactly how much to save. I know exactly when I could retire if I chose to, or these 3 years, what life would look like at 62, 66, or 70 or whatever if I retired. And I know, brace yourself, exactly how much minimum income I will have no matter what happens in the stock market and how much it's going to be taxed. How can you be sure that you know exactly how much it's going to be taxed 10, 15, 20 years from now if you don't know what the tax rates are going to be? Pretty easy. Be in a 0% tax bracket, because if they double taxes, 2 times 0 is 0. David Walker travels the country before the coronavirus hiccup, before all the stimulus packages. David Walker was traveling the country for years saying taxes have to double, or else we need to take this giant group of people and cut their Social Security benefits in half and cut their Medicare benefits in half. Well, I don't know about you. I doubt the politicians are going to do that. So my stupid story is just I use it just to wake you up a little bit and go, why would I ever pay someone to spread me around just the things that can go down, called securities, just because Edward Morgan Lynch and big companies like that are traditional? And for a while, from 1970 to 1999, that stupid plan worked out. Just rates were favorable, and we couldn't even see that it didn't cover long life, short life, rough life, sick life, the next life. We couldn't see that all your eggs in, different kinds of eggs in one basket can hurt you. It wasn't hurting. We're making almost 14% for that 29-year period. Today, it's not like that. Over the last 19 and a half years, the market it hasn't even grown at 6%. And we don't know what's happening. We're in the middle of this weird, squirrely, big loss for coronavirus. Then it looked like it was going all the way back up, and then it came back down. We don't know where it's going to head. So anyway, thanks for listening to my stupid story and my stupid songs. Yeah. Now, what about dangerous sports? Just to exaggerate even more. Say somebody's getting into, I don't know, base jumping or parachute. I don't even know what a dangerous sport is anymore. I guess rock climbing could be, rock climbing without safety ropes. What do they call that? I don't remember what that's called. I have some rock climbing friends, and they would know what it's called. Free climbing or something like that, right? And the parents are like, oh my gosh, you're going to hurt yourself. Please consider diversifying your hobbies a little bit. Please don't just have one sport that's dangerous. Could you maybe join 6 sports that are all life-threatening and spread it around a little bit? So you go, all right, I guess I'll dive with sharks. I don't know. Learn how to, what do you call it? Cliff diving? I'll dive into the water from, 8 stories up and try to position my body so it's just break my neck right off. And then we'll do the rock climbing thing and maybe get into bees or raising rattlesnakes. Do you hear how stupid it sounds? If I take it outside of the package of the stock market, we've got cash that doesn't earn interest, basically. It's not even keeping up with inflation, so it's guaranteed loss. We've got bonds that don't pay anywhere near what they used to, and they can go down. Well, ironically, nobody knew that until 2008 or 9, and then again recently. And then you have stocks, which obviously can go down, up or down really sharply. I have to actually take it out of the context for it to even make sense and talk about dangerous sports or driving across country and visiting gangs, because somehow we just take that. Some woman or man dressed nicely in an office saying they have 12,000 other offices just like that one where they rip people off, go, you know what I think's really the best bet for you, Mr. and Mrs. Jones? Why don't we keep you only in one type of tool? We call it securities. Happens to be the one I get paid on. And because there's danger in all these, all the securities we offer here, because they all have one common theme, there's danger, you can lose money, I'll just spread you around to lots of dangerous things that we offer. And let's not consider any of the safe alternatives, even if they have, no fees and higher returns. Let's not consider those, because that's not what we do here at Edward Morgan Lynch. Man, if you can look at it without that traditional comfort that your parents gave you, and in today's rates and the other options, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Our version of safety is stupid. And wait till you hear this. I'll close with this. Wait till you hear this. The dirt, the dirt on diversification, the real truth about when you think you're diversified, you probably don't even have the diversification that you think you do. It's a complete farce. It's make-believe. It's supposed to look like you do. Now, I don't do this anymore. I used to have a subscription to something called Morningstar. Morningstar tracks a lot of mutual funds. They do all kinds of cool things. And one of the reports was called a correlation report. What's a correlation report? Well, a correlation report says how closely are all of your holdings, whatever you've been spread around, all these different sources of danger, wherever your person has spread you around to, the correlation report goes back in time, looks at how they've behaved over time, and says, are they very correlated or not? And what do I mean by that? Do they all go up and down together? That would be correlated. When half of them go up, does the other half go down? Or better said, if half of them lose value, does the other half gain value and sort of keep you even? Because that's what you've been told you have. But what does this report do? What did the correlation report do? By the way, this was part of a process called the advisorectomy. How do you remove the other advisor? Because people I'm pretty sure they care about their advisors more than their spouses, and they'd rather go through a divorce than leave somebody they've been with. Because I knew him in college, and he got into Edward Morgan Lynch, and he's been so nice to me, and he comes to barbecues. I don't care if he's pillaging my money and my family's going to suffer for the next 25 generations. I couldn't leave my bro. It's a weird industry. I'm trying to write the book, Nothing Personal, Why You Just Lost Another Client. So that every time I take a customer from some person who either has integrity or doesn't, it's fine. If you just haven't been trained, or you work for one of the companies where you're... I talked to a guy yesterday, I won't mention the name of the company, who worked for one of the big security companies, and he said, you were not even allowed to get an insurance license if you work there. My jaw dropped. I don't know how to confirm it, so I'm not going to tell you the name of the company, but that's coming from somebody that worked there for years. You can't even get an insurance license or you'll lose your job. Wow. So correlation reports, what it would show, and what you don't know that I know is, having done this hundreds of times back then, thousands now, every time you run a correlation report, well, let's say 100% of the times I ran a correlation report using the Morningstar software on the portfolios in front of me, it showed, even though they were spread around, they got a lot of different types of eggs, they all went up and down together. People used to teach that bonds and stocks are non-correlated. They go different directions. When your stocks are up, your bonds are down. And that is not what we have seen. Not what we have seen this century. All right, let's wrap it up. Liquidity sucks. And what I mean by that is having too much liquidity, giving up the great retirement planning tools, giving up the no-fee options, giving up the guaranteed income or tax-free income options, because you go, but then it won't be 100% liquid, which no one needs. That's hurting you. Safety is stupid. The version of safety that you've been sold by the joker brokers doesn't work. It's not safe. And it truly is stupid to say, I'm only going to use risky tools. You know what you need to do? You need to do what I did. And I shouldn't use the word. No one likes to be told what they're supposed to do. You know what you could do? You could do what I did. I pretended the stock market didn't exist because I like the phenomenon that if you lose your eyesight, people that lose their eyesight and go blind tend to use their other senses more efficiently, or they get better at hearing or touch or whatever, right? I've actually, one of the conferences I went to, they actually brought a blind guy who's the best. What does he do? Something with cards. It's not really poker, but his hand, he has the most sensitive hands in the world. and can basically use a deck of cards and deal any hand he wants to anybody, or tell you where any card is at any given time, and you can't even see him doing it. And the guy's blind, and somehow he got a black belt in karate too, being blind. It was fascinating, but his hands are more sensitive than mine. He's learned to use his hands because his eyes don't work. I wanted to get better at using all the other stuff besides the stock markets. I said, well, what if it didn't exist? That's how I created the stockless portfolio. And you can't see it. You can't see it right now. I don't even know if I still have it up here while I'm recording, but I just, with the introduction of land into my life as an alternative investment to the stock market, or sort of a non-correlated growth tool, which is really important. And we need the growth, you guys. I'm not anti-growth. I'm anti-narrow-minded pillaging, telling people that all there is stocks, bonds, and mutual funds because that's what you make money on. But I just threw up a little portfolio over 30 years and said, what if we put in $200,000 the old way? Cash makes 2, bonds make 5, stock market makes 8, or whatever it is. And I said, well, if the stock market for the last 19 years is only making under 6, why don't we make that the small part of the portfolio? What used to go to cash? Why don't you put a little bit in stocks, a little bit into a cash value life insurance policy, making 7. So we have 5 for the stocks, 7 for that, and then a little bit of land at 12, even though for certain 17-year periods, the land went up like 24% a year during the whole 17 years. And it may be higher now. Just nobody's done the third-party research since 2012. You can see it in the area. It's blowing up. But there was 165% more money left at the end. I've got the research. Compliance guys, don't get your panties all in a bunch. It's just math. Hello. You can't talk about math. I don't know what to say to that. The entire industry is math. Do financial services, but don't talk about math. Sell things, but don't tell people how they've done in the past. Oh, that's interesting. Folks, there's more out there if you can break free of that addiction to the old ways. Most people don't wash their laundry in the river anymore. Although it was healthier for your body, you got sunlight and vitamin D, and you got to talk to other people. You got to talk to your friends. It was social time. Now we sit in these little laundry rooms where you can't breathe, and the machine does it for us. But nobody's going backwards. People haven't given up on the car to go back to, horses and blacksmiths and buggies and stuff. The risk-only model had its time and doesn't work anymore. Diversification is not safety. That type of safety is stupid. Other than that, I don't have any strong opinions on the subject, but I got a strong opinion about you because I think you people are the best. Bye.
Renovating Retirement with Charlie Judith.
That's all, folks.